Hello, everybody. Whoa, why is what? Okay, let me fix that real quick, and I guess to get this fixed up real. There we go. That's much better. Welcome to another episode of Chess. I'm your host, Weatherman, and today I'm going to review my game from last week. Let's get started. I never know how word to find. Analysis. That's how you gotta find. You gotta go to game collections if you saved your game, which I hope I did. Yeah. This is it. So let's go analyze. Let's get ready here. Let's turn this bad boy on here. That's working. All right. Oh yeah. Last time I kind of messed this little guy up here. Let's just correct. I'll show the name of the opening because I think it's always fun to show the name of the opening because then we can learn them. Yep. Cool. All right. So, anything I need to say before this? Not really. I just gotta play some music first. Let's play some Mozart. Why not? Mozart. I find Mozart corny sometimes, but he was kind of a child prodigy. I guess he's gonna sound a little bit cornball sometimes. You know, it's kind of whatever. I gotta pick an old album that someone recorded that's not gonna be like copyrighted. Lo-fi version of his symphony is Mozart's Symphony 40. We're not gonna be playing that garbage. We're gonna be playing the raw, uncut, unedited versions of everything. I'm afraid that any like album recorded after 2020 is gonna be crazy copyrighted, and they're gonna kill me. They're gonna come to my house and kill me. But like, what are the chances, right? Yeah, like I feel like anything modern. Like, let's go release date ascending, and then scroll all the way up. Oh no, it's only showing stuff like from like the last 5 years. It sucks. Yeah. Sorry, I'm overthinking. It's not like I start stream late and I'm like stalling, you know? Hey llamas, what's up? Oh, the chat boxes. There we go. I think that's better. That's better. It's got to be in the correct position. I'm trying to find some music before we get started with the old analysis here. Albums. What about compilations? Is that going to be a problem? Well, if it's one in German, one that's titled in German, I lost it. Well, there's French ones. Go to a French titled one. Okay, that is lovely. We'll keep that. We'll put a little bit of that medieval in the court of the Crimson King vibe. Okay, so this is a game I played against old Larry. I played the black pieces, he played the white pieces, and in fact, let me, just so you can see my point of view, I think it'll make it easier for me to explain decisions. I'm going to flip the board so the black is on the bottom. Okay, so we have d4, d5, knight f3, knight c6, e3, knight f6. These are just like kind of pretty normal moves. Bishop d3. Engine already doesn't like bishop d3, but oh, music's really loud. You're probably right. Is that better? You know what I should do is turn up my headphones so that if it's too loud, I also hear it loudly in my shits, you know? Oh, I also turned down my mic. Why is it so low? Alright, that should be better though, right? Good, alright. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, engine doesn't like that, but we're gonna go ahead and let the engine not like that. It's not a move I made, so, you know, it's like the beginning of the game. It's still like an equal position. And then c3 is already a mistake because I have e5. So let's analyze this real quick because it's a short line. So you'd have e5, h3, bishop takes, pawn takes instead of queen takes, which is not what I would play. Oh, but then you can't take with the queen because you have this fork with the pawn, and now you resign. Okay. That makes some sense. You kind of... What about taking the pawn instead? That's fine. And you just, Oh, you can't trade back because this is pinned. See, I should have seen that before I even made the move and saw the eval bar move. But that's why we're here. That's why I'm analyzing this game. So, can't take the pawn because then you can't take it back. And so instead your best option is just to trade here and ruin your pawn structure here. You probably are not thinking of castling kingside anymore. Okay, it was kind of a interesting thing not to see. And then g6 is an inaccuracy, mostly probably because I missed e5. But also because he has bishop e2 after that, and it's just like, get stuff piled up on my bishop. Then h3, and then we trade. Queen goes to f3, and then I play e5, which is still a fine move. This move I thought about a lot because then it pushes him to move the queen away, kind of loses him a tempo. He can't trade this. This is not a trade. He just loses. I mean, it's still, you still get forked by the knight, so it's still not a good move to do that. You can like try to trade, but at that point you're wasting a lot of moves just trying to recover from that. So yeah. So then, in response to e5, we have queen e2, then e4, just trying to get out more space in the center. Bishop b5, queen d6, bishop a4, bishop g7, which the engine doesn't like. So when I analyzed this first, it really wanted me to play bishop e7 like this whole time. Actually, it doesn't even like that much anymore. I just, at some point, it was telling me that. Queen d7. It would take queen d7, I guess. I don't know why. Engine's recommendation. I mean, it's still not a terrible position to be in. We're kind of back to equal here. So we have b3, queen e6, b4, which is usually, b4 is usually always the best move in all situations, but in this situation it runs into just castles. It's just kind of a, I don't know, is it a waste of time? My king is just very safe here now, and this pawn is weak. I can start targeting it. Like, only this knight is defending, and I could try to get my rook, one of my rooks here, and try to open up something, is what I'm guessing is trying to say. Then we have bishop a3. Some dirty tricks with this discovery of the pawn. If the pawn, let's say I make a silly move, the pawn moves, I lose my rook. Or my knight. I'd be losing my knight because I have to save the rook, and yeah. So, oh, actually, I would still have this move, I guess, and then white castles, but then I don't know. Everything's kind of stuck here. I can't move there. I have to like try to move the knight there, but first I have to move the rook there. It's not ideal. You're kind of in a crunch a little bit there. Is what I would think, you know, if I was in that position. Which is, I'm not saying, like, all this stuff I'm saying, because sometimes I realize I sound like I'm saying the objective, like, truth of these positions. It's not really. It's what I would think in the moment if I saw this position. And, that, you know, my intuition is not always correct. Most of the time it's incorrect. But that's why we're doing it with Mr. Engine here, so that's okay. Then we have a6, rook b1. This is one of those moves where I was like, and in fact, I marked, there's a couple moves, so this is my score sheet from that game here. No spoilers, I'm not going to show you the bottom of it. But there's some moves that I marked on my sheet with a little marking with the pencil here. Like you see on the 7 right there? Because I thought they were key moves, but I only did it once, and I did it on move 7, which I already explained. It was that e5 back here. You know, I'm gonna try to do that. It's technically like, okay, this is a city tournament that's not super moderated by like actual FIDE, you know, like chess federation like arbiters, but I do want to try to play with those rules because it's fun. It's kind of fun to do, and also the rules are there for a reason. You're not supposed to write something that kind of distracts your opponent. You're technically, very strictly, only supposed to write your moves on your score sheet or draw offers. That's the only two things you can draw, or you can write. So, you know, I'm trying to follow that. I think it would be a little bit I don't know, a little BM, considered BM to like write stuff on your score sheet while you're playing a game when your opponent can see it. It's, you know, right there in the open. So I just don't do it. But I'll try. I need to find a way to remember key moves I felt like in this moment. You know, what was I spent a lot of time thinking something. I wish like the boards had like save the amount of time that you spent on each move, but you know, I digress. Then we have b5, the knight e7. So this is a key position here because there's a big weakness here with this rook. I mean, it's just gonna, if this pawn somehow gets out of the way, it will plow through all of this, right? So I think my rook here is very powerful. That's why at some point I moved my rook to c8. I'm just trying to eventually target this backward pawn here. That's gonna be a weakness. Though the engine does prefer a6 at this point. So we have knight d2, and then I do eventually play a6 though with a knight here. Knight e7 is slightly better now, so just get the knight back here, probably to maneuver it. Maneuver it where? Where is the idea? Like over here? I don't know. Try to get some action on this side of the board, on the king side, when the king is still not castled. That's my guess. Then rook b1, then b5. I'm just trying to, again, I'm trying to get this this pawn out of the way. Really what this does though is it gets the bishop out of the way, so there's less targets on the a file here, but I still grab more space, which is a benefit to me. I'll turn this down a tad more, just because I hope that if the Twitch audio thing, if in case this is copyrighted, if the Twitch audio doesn't hear it that well, it won't block it. And you know, the music, if it's much louder than my voice, it's kind of bad for the stream anyway. So, so yeah, bishop c2. Note that we're both making okay moves, but they're never the best move. You know, the best engine move. Only sometimes have I made the best move. Only sometimes has my opponent made the best move. So you know, you can kind of tell the level of play between us two is sort of similar, which means that I've finally gotten matched with an opponent closer to my, you know, expertise level, let's say, or you know, my skill level is what I should say. So we have knight b3 and knight to b7. I'm just trying to control particularly the a5 square because I want the pawn to move forward eventually and start clearing out the a file for my rook to just bow. Chess prowess, yeah, similar prowess. You, sir, you seem to possess the same prowess as me. You know, type shit. Bishop c1. I think at this point my opponent realized that I'm trying to just plow through here, but it's still not. He's still not out of the woods because this pawn is still weak. He has to move forward, and then even if the pawn isn't there, like my rook can infiltrate and start, like, you know, fucking shit up basically out here. So he does the right thing and moves the bishop away to then move the pawn up and try to get it defended with the bishop or something like that, you know. Oh, that's for the previous move. But then we have c6, just trying to strengthen my pawn chain here. Then we have a3, so moving the pawn up. Engine prefers knight c5. Just trying to go for the trade here. I actually do agree with that, because if you do that, it forces this knight trade, because the queen the only other option is for the queen to move here to defend the knight, and this is oh, actually that's the best move. And then you do a little bit of this, and then everything is okay. Actually, that would have been okay. The wrong move, I believe, would be to trade the knights, because then you kind of really open up. So then b takes on c5, and then this is open for the rook. This is just a lot of control with this pawn chain here that white has in the middle. So, you know, that knight move would have been pretty solid. But instead we have a3, which is fine. Then we have a5, knight d2, moving the knight back. Which, when I saw this, I believe that it felt like a mistake, and I was like, okay, I think I've got something here. I don't remember exactly what move I thought of because it's been a week, but it just felt like moving the knight back here. I mean, limiting the the movement of the bishop, limiting the movement of the queen. You still have no space for the bishop. Your rook needs an open file to work, right? Your rook doesn't work. You're kind of giving up a lot of space here. And the engine prefers a4 here. Just grab the space. Just straight up go grab the space, and then you have g4. Just try to instead grab space in the king side when that happens. Also likes queen f1, just developing the queen. Or not, that's not queen f1. Queen f1, just going back. I mean, it says that's the best move, but that's just like, who plays this? Blocking your castle, you know, this is an engine move. Disgusting engine move that no one would play. Okay? So we're going to go with that. Knight d7, and then he castles, which it considers an inaccuracy because I still have a4. So instead of a4, I played knight d7. My idea was I need the knight over here. Oh, I'm sorry. My idea actually is I'm going to move the knight here, and then... Oh, fuck. What was my idea? I'm trying to remember my ideas. I think the idea was to have the knight here. So then I have this square here, because... then this pawn would be attacked. I could put pressure on this pawn. I could put pressure on this pawn. It also offers a trade with this knight, which if he were to let's make some silly moves here. Like let's put the knight here. Let's just make a silly move with the knight here. Actually, that would be an okay move. No, it wouldn't. If I go here and he trades, I grab the space now, and I'm doing pretty good. It was, you know, my thought. That was kind of like the idea there. But instead we have, oh, I guess it's a little move spoiler. So he goes f3, so he starts attacking the king side, which is very risky. I think it started to put some pressure on me, but it's risky because you're also opening up your king. So now my dark square bishop, if it can make it over here, it's gonna be able to attack the king. This file would also open up, so if I get my rooks back here, it would also be kind of bad for the king. But you need to get an attack going. So I understand why White made this move. Now, a little spoiler, you know, you see the Mr. Engine here says knight a4 is a blunder. Indeed it is, but you have to find the right move. So I'll let you, I'll do what my favorite chess YouTuber, Agad Mator, does in these kinds of moments. Go ahead, I'll give you a couple seconds. Find the best move for White here. Actually, pretend you can't read that. Pretend you can't read this that thing. Just block it out of your mind. Just mind block. Your third eye is closed. Both your shit's closed. And your fifth eye is closed. What is the best move for White? Couple seconds. I summon Dark Square Bishop in defense mode. Dark Square Bishop sounds like a Yu-Gi-Oh monster. Yeah, you know, in a way, you do summon your pieces to attack. I summon the knight to lose me the game, or something. So if you found, oh fuck, so I pressed back by accident. If you found the move Bishop takes on a4, congratulations, you are a better chess player than me. All right, because after B takes on a4, you have F takes on a4, so the F pawn finally goes on the attack, and then you have A takes on B4, try to recover your pawn structure a little bit, then you have A takes on B4, and now the pawn chain is much stronger for White. Relatively, you know, this pawn is weak, this pawn is kind of weak, but your pawn chain is doing okay. In fact, that's not the best move. Why is it showing not the best move after I do it? It says C takes on B4 is better. Yeah, and it actually looks better. You have this pawn that's defended, and then you have f6, and then you just continue on from there. The point is you lose a pawn with that move. You can even try to take this this pawn here, but it's really not worth it because it's kind of stuck there. I mean, White can't take the pawn because that kind of loses the knight, because then the knight is not defended by anything, and it comes out with a tempo on the rook. The rook has to either move here or here. That's the only squares. And then, you know, if it's on this square, it's gonna be aligned with the bishop, which is just you're just losing there. So Knight a4 loses a pawn is the main problem with you know, with the move. I can't formulate a sentence right now. And my opponent does play bishop takes a4, and I play b takes a4. It's just kind of the line continues as it should have been. But we have f takes a4, a takes b4, c takes b4, d takes e4, and then knight c4, which is not the best continuation because you still can win. You still could have won the pawn. I mean, we played all the best moves. You lose. I thought you lose a pawn. I guess the best way is not to even take this pawn, even though it's kind of a fair trade. I don't know. I'm not really understanding. It's probably some dirty engine secret. We're not gonna go analyze all that. Point is, with knight a4, I do kind of give up a lot of the control I had. So I have 3 pawn islands here, just on the queen side. I have 4 in total, technically. He has 3, and his pawns are. I mean, his pawn structure is much better. I have this isolated pawn, this one, this one. There are going to be weaknesses later on, so I just kind of gave up a lot with that move. So we have knight c4. You know, the trick is I can't take the knight because it's defended by the queen, and also this threatens this fork here with the rook, so I have to move a rook away. So I go rook f8. Rook d8 was apparently the better move, just like take a semi-open file that's about to open up. Then we have knight b6 attacking the rook. We have rook a7 getting out of the way. This is kind of the only square that the rook can move to where it can still defend the pawn because it's covered by the pawn. This is covered by the queen. This is covered by the knight. So, you know, rook a7. The engine does prefer give up that pawn and just move the rook somewhere else, but I didn't want to give up the pawn. Then we have the knight back to c4, knight d6, offering a trade of knights, and if he doesn't take it, I'm gonna get my knight over here, which was my idea. If he takes it, I just get a nice centralized queen, and he kind of gives up his attacking knight. But engine does say that's the best move. As black, this position, I'm okay with this. This is okay. Next I'll be trying to move a rook back, probably this rook actually, this rook back to c5, protect this pawn, give up this pawn, and try to fight for the center again. Try to get this pawn pushing. But that would be like a long-term plan. You know, again, it's probably not the right plan, but that's what I would think. Knight f5. So the idea with this is that I have this fork to, you know, I can threaten this fork here with the rook and queen. So he would have to move his queen or his rook somewhere else. Or else he just loses one of them, and that would be terrible. But apparently that is an inaccuracy, and I should have just played bishop h6 instead. Try to get a target on this pawn. That move kind of makes sense to me, actually, because this pawn is only defended right now by the queen. And once another attacker comes in to try to attack the pawn, like, you know, the move knight f5 after that, attacking the pawn, then he would lose the pawn, or he'd have to try to defend it with by moving the knight. And there's not a lot of squares the knight can go to that are okay, because then stuff would get deflected. So that is my guess. Could be wrong. Maybe it's not the best way to approach. I don't know the guesses. Then after knight f5, we have queen g4, which is another inaccuracy. So it's a game of the eval bar just kind of going back and forth a lot, as you can tell. I guess it's not a. I'm trying to figure out why it doesn't like this move. It's because you win a tempo back because this move doesn't really do anything. Is my guess. I mean, you're attacking the pawn. If the idea is to attack the pawn, what happens here? It's a mistake because you have. Oh no, you still can't take the. You just double defend this pawn. Okay, it's not that the. I'm sorry. I be lying sometimes. The move doesn't do. It does something. It attacks the pawn, but just defend it. Just defend it with rook e8. Now you have your rook and queen are doubled up. They defend the pawn because you can't take it. You'd be losing a knight that way. And yeah, you just have to do something else. Your queen is kind of stuck there. I don't know what else there is to this move. It's kind of the only move for black. Otherwise, you're kind of like, let's make a silly move. Okay, let's not do that. Even this move works. What's a miss? Is there like some sort of tactic? We're gonna find the tactics later. Then let's see. So yeah, the next idea was, this fork doesn't really threaten. So I knew that the next move here would probably be this queen trade here, which would open this rook for a trade, which was fine because then I can take this file with my other rook, and that's actually exactly what happens. At first, it looks like a nasty fork, but you can just trade queens here. It's fine. It's the only move for white, but it's not a very hard one to find. So then we have queen takes e6, and f takes e6, and then we have rook takes, king takes. The reason I play king takes instead of bishop takes is because of this move. What was the move? There was a reason Oh yeah, because after knight takes, I'm removing the only attacker of this pawn, and I'd rather be able to trade the pawns out and go to an end game where I'm not down a pawn, and otherwise it's equal material. So that's why I take with the king, because I need the attacker there. So now we have knight takes e4, bishop takes d4, bishop takes e3, bishop takes e3 with check. So we trade the knight for the bishop. And I'm actually up a pawn in this, and it's a passed e-pawn. So now my goal should be to get the rook behind it and start pushing it. But I gotta be careful because there's a knight here. It can start attacking all sorts of places. So that's why I move my king here to try to cover these squares from the knight. This is covered by the bishop. This is covered by the bishop, and here will be a trade. And then I can move my rook up and attack the pawn from behind, or start pushing this one, start creating pressure. He'd have to work his rook around to try to get attacking my pawns or my king. So that's kind of the idea there with that position. Then we have rook e1 attacking the bishop. Now we have bishop d4 with ideas of going to bishop to b2 to attack this pawn and try to get this pawn also to start moving forward. It also defends the knight, even though for the moment nothing can attack it. One thing I don't like about my king in this position though is that I can't move, so I have to get around the pawns or move a pawn. Try to get a pawn to move up, but I can't do that yet because these squares are all covered by the knight. So the knight isn't actually in a pretty solid position here. So we have rook f1 trying to get sneaky here because the rook can now move to f6, which would be kind of annoying. With every arrow you draw, the board gets closer to the come gambit image. Yeah, that's true. We did a little bit here, and then we got, we got a little bit. Do a little bit of that, and that's how you play the come gambit. Do you understand that? Okay, we're gonna do a pop quiz in about 5 minutes. I'm gonna leave that there, and then I'm gonna forget it was there, and then we have a little good laugh. So bishop b2, just attacking this pawn. The only move for white now is... Actually, white has options. But the obvious move for white here is to go rook f3, just defend the pawn. And I can't take it because I'd be losing the full bishop and the game. But now we have a kind of a sneaky move by black here. So this is threatening the old skewer because this square is defended by the knight. And once the check comes with on the king, I have to move the king away, and then I lose my rook and the game and my sanity and my wife. So of course I have to move the king away to avoid that check, which is an inaccuracy because you just it's an inaccuracy. So you have f3, like kind of what was the better move? Rook d7? Oh, you kind of don't care. You kind of accept, like if white chooses this, which is fine. You move the king anywhere, doesn't matter where, and you... Oh, this allows another check. Okay, it does matter where. So you move the king where the knight won't recheck you. I think the only place is e8. And then you trade the rooks. If you trade the rooks, you have this, and then you lose. I guess I could have just seen that. I guess I could have just let him do it if he wanted to. Otherwise, the best move for black is not to take the rook, but just to take, go back to f1. But then I have bishop takes a3. You have rook. Oh, you lose the. If you do that, that's kind of sneaky. See, that'd be hard to see because that's a. You know, that's, you guys think 2 moves ahead here. Rook moves to f1. You wonder why. It should be moving to f3 to defend the pawn. But then you can't take the pawn yet because you have the old skewer. You're gonna have to lose one of these pieces. And it's the same situation. You can't move the rook back because you just lose the bishop. You have to take the other pawn and then move that away and try to get yourself in a better position. The knight has to move here. You have rook, bishop d8. Actually, this traps the knight, so you can't. Yeah, you can't do that. So there was some kind of deep ideas there. It was not over for white. They could have easily tricked me. I feel like I fell for it because I was trying to do. Yeah, that's pretty advanced. Yeah, that feels pretty advanced. I feel like if I thought about it long enough, I would have seen it. I think at this point I had about 45 minutes left on my clock. I could have spent, well, you know, if I had the foresight, I should have spent a good amount of time on that move. This is also an inaccuracy because it loses a pawn. Just realized this. So I should have moved to d6 instead, which is a good move. D7 was rook d7 was the best option because you have the other tactic. So king e8, rook f3 defending. Then we have e5 just pushing the pawn. He should have just taken the pawn there, I feel, and that would have changed the game completely. Kind of spoiler alert. So we have rook f3, e5, knight e4 trying to blockade the pawn. King d8, which is also an inaccuracy because he has king g1. Get the king back out into the game. You want, in the end game, you want an active king is I believe the principle that we're playing by here. Though king d8 would, king g1 would allow this. Is this bad? This is a mistake because you have king f1 and then king e7. I guess a move just does nothing. What's if king g1 you want to go king d7. You're just gonna start moving your king up, try to get it to defend the pawn. Is my guess. So king e6. Yeah, so king f1, king e6. Try to get the kings into the game is what the engine says. King e2, more active king, and then king d5. Tries to attack the knight. The knight has to move back. Knight h6 check. You have to give up the pawn. You probably move to, okay, c4 is the best move. Take the pawn. No, you don't even care about that pawn. It's not really doing anything. Knight e4, just back to e4 and then try to, yeah. So that's the game the engine wants. So yeah, that's not what was played. Instead, my opponent played king h2, which is also an inaccuracy. That's not a big fan of that move. Probably because it's on a dark square and the bishop can eventually get a check that might be valuable. And then rook e7, which is a mistake because then you have rook f8, king c7, and then you lose the pawn. Which I also did not notice. I feel like a higher ranked player would have seen that and would have just lost the pawn because because you're in check. I mean, you can try to trade the rooks, which is fine. It's actually not fine for black. Black has to attack. What's the best? I'm trying to guess. Rook f6. Oh my god, rook f6, you idiot. Yeah, you lose this pawn instead. So yeah, as I said, you know, these isolated pawns eventually become targets. So it's either you play these moves to lose this pawn, or play these moves to lose this pawn, because now it's you can't defend this pawn. But you do take this pawn. I do get a template to do that, so you know that's already helpful. And I start advancing the pawn. Except that's bad, actually, because then you can attack the bishop, and then the bishop has to move away. Rook c4. Yeah, so you attack these two guys. So you have to give up a pawn for that. You probably go... Where do you even go here? You'd probably go like here. Yeah, and then you take the pawn. But you still have this pass pawn. So, this is still... With perfect play, apparently it's a draw, but with this pass pawn, I mean... The king is kind of inactive, I guess, is one of the problems, but... I feel like at our level, black would win this if they get to keep the passed pawn there. But instead of that, we have rook e7, so that was the mistake we just reviewed. So we have g4, which is fine. King d7, just trying to avoid any checks in the back rank. Even though my goal was to I wanted to move, start trying to attack and get the knight out of there. So I have knight c5 check. Actually, I'm sorry. I did not think of this move through much. I was considering a different move, but I didn't play it. And then I played this, which kind of falls to the... Well, I played king d7, which allows this move, which forks the king in this pawn. So I lose the pawn anyways. And once he takes the pawn, I have to move my bishop away anyways. But the engine says this is fine, and I'm guessing that's because it removes the blockade on the passed pawn. And you kind of just want to fight against the passed pawn, which is the most pressure you're facing in this situation. Is my guess on why this is an inaccuracy. Because then also you give a check, but what you're really doing is forcing the king to move. And it is in my interest to move the king up. Oh, thank you. I know I was doing such a great job at explaining. The goal is to move the king up to protect the pawn. So it kind of really does nothing for white, this check, is my guess. You get to take the pawn, and that's okay, but really it was better just to check with the rook. Force the king to move inside or something. So we have bishop d4. You just move the bishop away. Okay, this is an inaccuracy. Probably, yeah, you have rook d3. The bishop is pinned. You can't move the pawn. You have to move to an awkward space here, and that kind of runs into checks. This check is better. Yeah, because this it's a blunder. Oh, because then you attack everything with the king. What is the move here then? Rook d1? Oh, preparing. You got to prepare that check first. It says king here, king check, and then king d3. Okay, this is probably a better square because then you start advancing the pawn. Yeah, and now black is completely winning. If white, I think white taking the pawn is not the best move. But yeah, it's a mistake because then you have e4 and then you actually there's no way to stop the pawn at that point. So yeah, that's that line. So let's go back to the main line. I'm not gonna analyze. Actually, I should analyze the endgame lines because those tend to be the most interesting. So I believe we stopped here. Rook d3, yeah, which pins the bishop, and then we have king d5, knight b6 check, which runs into king e4, and then you're even blocking the king now from trying to approach the pawn. And that's a mistake for white. Knight c8 attacking the rook, but the king is also attacking the rook, so I just trade rooks. I'm totally fine trading rooks here, even trading the rook for the pawn because I just push my pawn. So knight takes on e7, e4, king g2, trying to just last minute approach the pawn. e3, knight c6, just taking the pawn. At this point, black is lost. I'm just trying to avoid losing turns with the trade, so I just moved the bishop away, even though it was fine to just keep pushing the pawn. And this also controls the knight. So when you have a knight and a bishop in this kind of position, the bishop really nicely controls the knight. Or if you're the one playing the knight, that bishop really controls your knight very well. So you don't have, it's kind of restricting your movement. Usually well, in this case it's the bishop that benefits from this, but it's usually a knight that benefits from this because a knight is a slightly less value piece than the bishop. They're really similar, but especially in the early game, you control bishops that have a lot of range with your knight, so that's kind of the idea with that. So then we have King F1, which is, I mean, again, we have no moves for black that can save the game. We have E2 check, King G2, Queen E1, sorry, E1 equals Queen, B5, just white tries to promote their pawn, but at this point it's too late because it's a maiden 3. We have King F3, 95 check, just playing moves to extend the game. Bishop takes E5, B7, the only move, and you gotta pick your I feel the coolest checkmate is this one on H2. But what I played was Queen G2, and I won my game. So I won the little chess game from last week against Larry. I haven't been using the real names, but I feel like Larry is a good name. If you're gonna reveal the name, Larry is a good one. So yay, I won, right? So let's look. I'm gonna look at the game review real quick just to like show like which ones it says blunders. So we saw that I lose a pawn doing that, and my position just sucks. And then we have. This is a mistake because you defend this pawn and then you start attacking that one. Oh, and then the queen infiltrates, and then you lose that pawn. See, I wouldn't have seen that. That's kind of deep. You're kind of giving up that pawn. But it comes with a tempo because this also attacks the rook. And then once the queen takes, you also go for this, and this is attacked by everything. Wow, that's an advanced move. Missed that. And we have the Calm Gambit, of course. I think that was about it. After. The key mistake, the game-ending mistake for white was this check, because it just allows me to go attack the rook. C8, and then, yeah, the pawn advances to victory. What do you know about en passant? It's forcing. I know that en passant is a forcing move, so... Wouldn't be third state chess without the Calm Gambit? That is true. That is very true. Smoking that Larry pack? You already know. Well, with that being said, I'm going to celebrate my victory from last week with, I have time for one rapid game, unfortunately because I started late. Sorry about that. That will not happen next week. Oh, and so I should talk about the tournament. So that was round 6 of the qualifiers for the city tournament, for the city championship, I should say. So that's they're fighting for the city, the champion of the city of Weatherman. I don't want to dox myself on stream because I live in a smaller city than I used to now, so it's it's not like someone's gonna come find me, but someone could try to come find me. You know what I'm saying? So that was round 6 for the qualifiers. So now what it's gonna be is elimination rounds for the championship. I haven't looked at the pairings. I'm pretty sure I am not Weatherville. Thank you. That's a good name. I haven't looked at the pairings. I'm pretty sure I'm not in like the contender for the championship. The bottom tier of players that played in the qualifiers, they get to play their own little Swiss style tournament, which is like you play against each opponent once, and then you get points, and then the most points wins. That kind of stuff. But the people contending for the championship are in an elimination round. I believe I will have a better. Once I go to chess club today, I'm gonna learn what it's like. I'm just trying to remember what the guy said last week, because I was listening, but I don't think I understood the structure of the tournament. So that's it for the qualifiers. That shouldn't. I still have games to play for the tournament, even though I'm not playing for the championship. I'm gonna be in the championship, getting more rated games. So that shouldn't change the streams. If it does, I'll come up with something. I'll let you guys know. It might not be Tourney Journey. It might be Club Chub, or something like that. We're gonna call it something different after that. With that being said, I'll play a little warm-up game and I'll do a potato gambit. Oh, I didn't choose an opening for today. I'm gonna do it just my old Queen's Gambit. I like the Vienna. In fact, I should practice the Vienna more too. Hello? You don't know how to respond to a d4? Come on, brother. Yeah. Also, do you guys, this thing here on the bottom, do you guys care if it's there during the games? I feel like it takes up space, but I don't need that much space here. Like, my face is all huge here. In fact, if there was a little less face, that would be better. Even if I shrink my face like this, right? And then we have this, and then I have some empty space on this side where this thing is, but I don't know. I could do something with that space. Maybe add the little Deltarune background that I use, but I gotta keep that for Deltarune. So we have the Slav. Now, I was supposed to learn the moves to counter the Slav at some point. I think one of them is this for sure. I'm gonna go ahead and let him do that. King's out on the open a little bit, but I'm gonna castle very quickly. Face 50% opacity over the chessboard. Now that is an idea. I'll do that. I'll do that after this game because it will take me a little while to finagle everything. Yeah, I feel like you know, responding passively to this bishop being here was not the best move. We're gonna analyze that. It's kind of interesting. I kind of want to close off the center. No, he controls it though. He can just go c takes and then e4. So then I might just open up. I might just try to get castled here. He can make me waste a tempo here. But the move that scares me more is e5 because then I'd have to move the... Well, he wants to just trade off his bishops. I'm gonna let him do that. I'm gonna have two doubled pawns, but not really, because I'm gonna trade off this pawn after. Or if he doesn't, I will do it. Yeah. Now I have two pawn islands, which I gotta be careful about. Face over the king, and the king moves dynamically with... Oh, that's advanced. That's advanced production right there. So I have to move it every time I move the king. That's gonna make me lose a lot of games if I do that. Yeah, I mean, if he takes, I just take with the bishop and then move it back. I'll probably move it back here. And then get the bishops here, just... The bishop pair. That is a horrible error, I apologize for that. I mean, he might have ideas of going to h5, try to get, and maybe try to get the queen over here, try to get some shenanigans going. Well, not here, obviously, but try to get the queen aligned with the attack in tandem with the... But after that, I have f4 even. That attacks the knight, it's hanging. He can't take the pawn. I feel like that's fine. I'm just gonna castle. An OBS extension to do that automatically? Alright, bet. That would be interesting. Do you know your Lua? I was looking into making an OBS extension myself. And it's in Lua, which I've used, funnily enough, I've used it in my work. But I'm not a fan of Lua that much. I don't really like it. Just use a normal language, like a normal person. Do I have... Is this a move? Can I wait? Is waiting fine? Do I go rook? Can I go rook e1? I can be passive for now before I start the attack. Not for too long. I think bishop. I like bishop c2. Actually, bishop d3 would be better because then really this kind of... The bishop is a pawn. It becomes a pawn, and here, once I move to c5, this is controlled. This is controlled. This is I can threaten nasty discoveries if the queen tries to move anywhere here. Otherwise, this is all covered. So the queen has to either move back once I attack it. His pieces can't move that much. He has to like develop his knight. That's not how the knight moves. Maybe here even? Is that... I could trade and just kind of ruin his pawn structure a little bit. Okay, so D or E5. If I attack the queen now, he has to move it back, and then I can move this bishop here to defend the pawn. I think I like that. That's what I'm seeing. Oh wait, no, this pawn is hanging. I'm a fucking idiot. Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, it's hanging. The queen can take it, yeah. Yeah, okay. We can resign. Goes for the queen trade. Actually, I'm gonna use this rook. Because I'd rather this rook have this open file, and then I can push this pawn and try to annoy him a little bit. In fact, I can think about attacking this rook. Pressuring his knight. Yeah, he has to move the knight. Get the rooks on file, or rooks, double up rooks. Is he gonna try to double my rooks? That leaves my pawn alone, but we're gonna play en passant with nothing there. Try double up now? I think I can double up now. Maybe bishop here, attack this knight. So this guy really likes knights. He's trying to just trade off, get rid of my knights in the start of the game, which is an interesting way to play. Yep. So he defends that. But do I have this to attack this pawn here? Does that run into anything nasty? Because it runs... No, not really. It runs into... I mean, he can attack the rook and I just move it away. He has to defend the pawn with a knight or something. Maybe a knight here. That just loses the game. And then that's gonna start weakening these pawns here. I can start doing the gobble gobble. Yeah, he's a horse lover, man. What you be doing with them horses, huh? Things are getting sweaty in the stable. I don't know if you guys can hear the cat meowing, but he's meowing. It's almost his dinner time. But it's not yet. He's just being a fat boy. Cam Wild, he wildin' out here. He wildin' out here. I wonder if even this move is something, because then we trade the pawns here. I have this bishop here attacking the rook. He decides to trade it, and it's GG's because I take this rook, takes, and that's checkmate. Right? I think that's a fine move. And if he doesn't do... Whoa, okay. Can I still do that? I mean, he wants me to take the pawn so his knight is more active. Him taking this comes with a tempo on the bishop, but I just attack this. I feel like I'm still fine doing this. Again, the knight can't take because rook takes. The rook has to take, or else he loses it, or forces the trade. And I just go on a massive attack after that, because then my bishop can come into the game. With the king here, once look, this mouse is old, so please forgive it. Yeah, all part of the plan. Then I can also attack this fucking mouse. I can also attack this. Can start all sorts of nasty discoveries. I think I like my position here. Even if he does this move. Is it the GD mouse? Yeah. This is the Misty Mountains mouse. Same one I verified that level with. And the Cryo mouse and the Recorders mouse, if that counts. The Acu mouse, I mean, I haven't beaten that many extreme demons, only 2. My second hardest level is still... I think it's still Quantum Variations. No, I think it's something different now. Okay. I've been saying that move, that's fine. But I just gotta think. I think it's still fine. It's just a pawn trade that does nothing for him. Now I'm attacking this pawn again. He's gonna lose it for sure. Okay, I just gotta be careful about this, the back rank. But I should be fine. Loses that pawn. Yeah, just be careful of moving that. You can even take, he's losing a knight here. Because if he moves it away, I just go with the same plan. I think this is GG's. Pretty sure. And I would like the game to end quickly because I'd like to have my big boy dinner. I have a cat that wants dinner. Okay, that's actually a fine move. Let me think about this. Trade. Wish my arrows were better. Or if you go rook, boom, 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 and then knight has to go like here or something. Do I just take the other pawn? Do I let this be for now? I think I'll let this be for now and then attack this rook, because then he can't defend it. Just go here and then he has to move away and then he loses a knight for sure. Well, it'd be a trade that he can't take because the rook has to keep defending the back rank here. Yeah, this mouse has been through stuff, but it's the left button that's been through stuff. Not the right click. You right click for arrows. Okay, I gotta think about this because it's being attacked. Can just come here? Yeah, I think he lost a knight doing that. Oh, wait a minute. I can't take... I believe I have to kick the rook first to avoid the back rank checkmate, right? Because if I'd taken the knight there, rook takes, I can't take back with the rook because that is a checkmate. So then now I kick this rook away, right? And then I win the knight. Because he can't go, the only other square to do that is here. He can't move the rook there. Unless he's ChatGPT, which moves pieces, you know, anywhere it wants. Which I find kind of funny. Yeah, this rook this is a fake attack. He can't take my bishop. Because I have the checkmate. Trading rooks is fine, but then you can't take the bishop back. And you can't attack my rook. And this square is covered, yeah. So you lose the rook here. And then I just advance to victory. I can pre-move everything. I gotta be careful here. Don't stalemate like last time. That'll be awkward. Do this check. And then come here and then here, and that's GG's. Oh, wow. Don't pre-move your checkmates, guys. Alright, I'm just gonna have some fun then. Oh wait, don't pre-move that. Guys, because I'm getting cocky, I'm starting to like fuck up, right? And okay, now I'm gonna stalemate. Wait a minute. I don't want to lose a pawn either, that would be just inconvenient. I pre-moved myself into losing losing a rook this time now. Or losing the other pawn. I'm just gonna do an old bishop rook checkmate. No stalemate. No, don't move there. I think I see it. No, I don't see the check. If he moves here, I move the king up. And then he has to move to the corner, and then it's checkmate. With the bishop. See, the goal here was to... Oh, that's not a check. What the fuck? What am I doing? Wait. I'm running out of time. This is literally the checkmate. Jesus Christ. Okay. That's what I get for wanting to pre-move checkmates like I'm Hikaru. But I have to remember, bro is not Hikaru, okay? You can't pre-move checkmates, you are not him. But I got to pre-move the one move at the end. So I got what I wanted, and I didn't lose. It would have been so terrible to lose there. I would have just not gone to chess club today, to be honest. If I lost that game, if I made myself lose that game, I would have just stayed home and cried, I think, instead of going to chess club, because I'm like, clearly, it's not, it's not for me. Chess is just not for me. Yeah, there was I gave him a fighting chance here when I fucking hung the queen. What was it was a mate in 2. Like what, bishop check, and then oh yeah, I should have just, all of my pieces come together to do the checkmate. Losing there would have been a terrible one, really terrible one. With that being said, I'm gonna end the stream now. Why is that on? Get out of here. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next week for more chess action. The cat is gonna have himself a big boy dinner, and I'm gonna have a big boy dinner. Believe that. He's a big boy. Big boy wants his big boy dinner. All right. See you guys later. Bye. I am again doing the intro very quickly because I have brought the boy in again, but he's wriggling a lot. But I just want him to say hi to the streamer. Cam, hey Cam, relax. Yay, little puppy. I like holding him like this because you can see his cute little face. Let me see if I can recreate it for the camera. Yes, Cam, I'm farming you for content, but you're a cat. That's what all cats are for. Yeah, little Bubby. Yeah. Say hi to the stream cam. Hey, look, if you're nice, I'll give you a treat. Wait. If you're nice, I'll give you a treat. You want a treat? Yeah. Wait. Okay, he's running away now, but watch. Oh yeah, you get right back here, huh? You get right back here. Look, Cam. Look. Yeah. All right, let's give him. What do I make him do? Cam, sit. Sit. I'm kidding. I haven't taught him that. I don't think you can even teach cats like sit and those kinds of tricks. But I have taught him to scratch a scratching post whenever I want him to, because instead he scratches up the couch and shit. All right, Cam. Go ham. Come on. Hey, Cam. Come. Hey. Scratch it. Yeah, good boy. All right, now he's learned that when I put it on top of the scratching post, he just needs his paw to knock it off. There you go. Grab that thing. Oh, you gotta find it. Where'd it go? You lost your treat. Oh, I'm not giving you another one. He lost his treat, little idiot. Look, it's right there. It's under the shoe. You can't look under his shoe? He's a dumb cat. He's a very dumb boy. Alright, Cam, are you satisfied? He's almost quiet now because he expects more treats. But that's how you get... Your dinner is very soon, buddy. Are you scratching for more? Yeah? Yes, puppy? Yes, puppy. Come here, kitty cat. Ugh. Alright, say hi again. Say hi to the chat. Say hi to the stream cam. Come on. Okay, I'll let you go. Alright. Yeah, so next time we're actually